Lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is responsible for immunity. Lymphatic system is responsible for immunity, and lymphatic system is actually a circulatory system like cardiovascular system. You know that blood circulates inside the cardiovascular system. Inside the lymphatic system, lymph fluid circulates. So lymph fluid circulates inside the lymphatic system. So this is actually another circulatory system. Now, what are the important parts of this system? Lymphatic system consists of lymph organs. What are the lymph organs or lymphatic organs? Spleen, thymus, and tonsils. So these are the lymph organs, or lymphatic, we also say lymphatic organs. Okay, these three. We have a number of tonsils, but we have one spleen, one thymus. And then lymph nodes. Lymph nodes, we have many distributed throughout the lymphatic system. We have many lymph nodes throughout the lymphatic system. But in some locations in your body, the lymph nodes are more clustered. For example, around in the cervical part, in the axillary area, you have axillary lymph nodes, many. In the inguinal area, you have many lymph nodes. Okay, so in certain areas we have more, but actually there are many lymph nodes throughout the lymphatic system. Number 3, lymphatic vessels. Since this is a circulatory system, there must be vessels there. So, like blood vessels, we also have lymphatic vessels. Inside the lymphatic vessels, the fluid circulates. That is called lymph. Lymph is the fluid that circulates inside the lymphatic vessels or lymphatic system. So these are the main parts of the lymphatic system. Now, if I ask you, what are the differences between the lymph organs and lymph nodes? We can say that lymph organs are few, spleen, thymus, and few tonsils, right? So, few. But lymph nodes are many. Lymph organs are larger in size. For example, your thymus, but lymph nodes are very tiny, small. Okay. Another difference is that your lymph organs are responsible for immunity, but they have other functions too. So lymph organs are responsible for immunity, but also for other functions. For example, your spleen. Spleen is responsible for immunity, but spleen is the site where the red blood cells are destroyed. So it has another function. Lymph nodes are solely responsible for immunity. They are solely responsible for immunity. They don't have other important functions. So those are few differences between the lymph organs and lymph nodes. Okay, and lymphatic system is responsible for immunity or defensive function. Okay. Uh, Now the respiratory system. Respiratory system consists of the nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, and the lungs. If you start from the top, nose, and inside the nose you have nasal cavity. Then next is the pharynx, then the larynx, then air tube or trachea. Trachea then divides into bronchi. Bronchi is plural, bronchus is singular. If I want to indicate one, in that case we will use bronchus. If I want to say more than one, bronchi. So the trachea divides into two bronchi, right and left, and they enter into the lung and divide further and further, many bronchi. Then become bronchioles and lung. So those are the organs of your respiratory system. Functions: inspiration and expiration of air. That means inhalation and exhalation. That means what? Breathing. Very simple way. Breathing helps in breathing. Breathing means taking air in and pushing the air out from the lung. That is number one. Number two, inside the lung, what happens? Exchange of gas. After you take the air inside the lung, what happens? Blood goes to the lung and exchange of gas occurs between the blood and the lung. So exchange of gas is another important function of the respiratory system. Okay, oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange occurs. Digestive system. Digestive system has two parts. One part is called the gastrointestinal tract, and another part is called the accessory digestive organs. So first we divide the entire digestive system into two parts: gastrointestinal tract, also called GI tract. It is also called alimentary canal. It's a tube, long tube. And another part is accessory organs. Okay. So first we'll see the gastrointestinal tract or GI tract. This is a long what? Tube. Goes like this from the mouth to the anus. So it is a continuous tube from the mouth to the anus. But in certain areas that tube gets narrow. In certain areas the tube gets what? Wide, big. But it is a continuous tube. Just think a tube that has wider parts and narrow parts. It's like that, gastrointestinal tract. Okay, and the parts of the gastrointestinal tract or tube: oral cavity is the first part, that is the mouth, and then you have the pharynx, esophagus, long tube, then the stomach. Now you see, esophagus is narrow tube, then it gets suddenly very wide, expands a lot and forms the stomach. Make sense? Then it gets again very narrow, long, that is the small intestine. And then it gets wider again, large intestine, right? So those are the parts of your GI tract: oral cavity, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine. Write it down. So that's the right order. Oral cavity, then pharynx, then esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and then the large intestine, the last part. So it is a tube. Yes. Yeah, pharynx is most part of the pharynx is a part of both respiratory and the digestive system. Common. A good question. Okay, so that's the GI tract. Now, accessory digestive organs are what? Your liver, pancreas. You know, pancreas is part of endocrine too. Then gallbladder. Okay, so those are the accessory digestive organs. Teeth, tongue, you can add those too. Those are accessory digestive organs. And the functions of your digestive system, since it is called the digestive system, what's the most important function? Digestion. So, functions are: number 1, digestion; number 2, absorption; number 3, metabolism; number 4, excretion. So those are some important functions of your digestive system. Digestion is the breakdown of food. Very simple definition. Breakdown of food. Make sense? So where the digestion starts? In the mouth, right? After we put the food, large food piece in the mouth, then we start to break. So digestion starts in the mouth and continues in the stomach and intestine. So breakdown of food is the digestion. Why we need to break the food? Because food pieces are big, right? If you don't break and make them fine small molecules, blood will not be able to take it from your intestine. Make sense? Large food pieces cannot enter into the blood. So must be converted to very fine small nutrients. Fine molecules of food are called nutrients. So then the blood can absorb it. So absorption is the process of taking the fine molecules or nutrients into the blood. Okay, that is the absorption. So after digestion, fine food molecules or nutrients are taken into the blood from the intestine, and that process is called the absorption. And why we need the nutrients? We need the nutrients for metabolism. We need the nutrients in our body for metabolism. And metabolism mainly occurs in the liver. Everywhere metabolism occurs in your body, but most of the metabolism occurs in the liver. And you know that liver is a part of accessory digestive organs, so we say that metabolism is another important function of the digestive system, because liver is a part of your digestive system. Excretion. Those foodstuffs are not absorbed, taken into the body or blood, they are eliminated, removed as feces. So that process is called the excretion, or removal of the unused food materials. Yes.
What was your definition of metabolism?
Metabolism is the chemical reactions that produces ATP or energy. So basically all chemical reactions in our body uh, belong to metabolism. So all chemical reactions belong to metabolism, but main function of metabolism is the production of energy or ATP. Okay. Now we are going to the next system, the urinary system. Urinary system is the main excretory system of our body. Main excretory system of our body. The function of, first let's see the parts of the urinary system. Urinary system consists of two kidneys, right and left, two ureters. Ureters are narrow tubes, one urinary bladder, and one urethra. I'm repeating again, two kidneys, two ureters, one urinary bladder, and one urethra. So those are the parts. Now, if I see the function of those individual parts, first, kidneys. If I ask you, tell me the function of the kidneys, just answer very simple way, production of urine. Kidneys produce what? Urine. So that is the good answer. Now if I ask you how your kidneys produce urine, the answer is by filtration. Filtration is the process. Make sense? So now you can say that kidneys produce urine by filtration. Then after the urine is produced in the kidneys, the urine is transported, taken to the urinary bladder by those narrow tubes called the ureters. So your ureters, those tubes, take the urine from the kidneys to the bladder. Then what's the function of the bladder? Holding the urine for few to several hours, right? Storing or holding the urine. How long? Few to several hours. Now, sometimes if you are traveling, you don't find any washroom, then you have to hold it, right, for several hours. So your bladder is very important to hold the urine. Remember, blood is continuously going to the kidney, right? Everywhere in your body. And kidneys are continuously producing urine, drop by drop. So if you did not have the bladder, just think that what would have happened. Urine will continuously get out from the body, right? So very important if you think that way, holding the urine. Okay, so the urethra is the part that takes the urine from the bladder to the outside of the body, to the environment. So, taking the urine to the outside of the body from the bladder. That's the function of the urethra. Urethra part is different in male and female. Only this part. In female, it is very short. In male, it is long. Now, if I ask you, what's the overall function, not the individual function of kidney or ureter or bladder, what's the overall function of the urinary system. I said you this is the major or main excretory system of your body, right? So excretion of what? Excretion of metabolic toxics. Which metabolic toxics are excreted through the urine? Urea, uric acids, ammonia. Those are really harmful for your body. So urea, uric acid, ammonia. Those harmful chemicals are excreted out from the body through the urine. Okay. That is the main function, removal of harmful metabolic toxics. Another function is regulation of body fluid or water. Regulation of body fluid or water. Just think this simple way. If you take too much water, a lot of water, then what your kidneys will do? If you take too much water, what the kidneys will do? Yes, very good. Say loud. You're right. Increase the production of urine. Right? More urine will be produced. All of you know that. So, why? Kidneys will produce more urine because your body now has more water, right? You don't need that. So, kidney quickly will produce and excrete the water out from the body. So, regulation of water or body fluid. Make sense? Now, if you don't drink water for a few days, then what will happen? The volume of urine will decrease. Highly concentrated urine will be formed, right? Again, your kidneys are not letting the water get out from the body, trying to preserve the water. Make sense? So, kidneys will work in both ways to maintain the body fluid or water unchanged. So, that's the regulation of water. Regulation of electrolytes and acid-base balance. Electrolytes, for example, if in your blood or body you have sodium concentration more than you need, then kidneys will just excrete the sodium. Excess sodium will be excreted out from the body. Very simple, right? With the urine. If you take too much salt, you know salt is sodium chloride. So it will break into sodium quickly and chloride. And this will get out from the body with the urine because you have taken too much, right? That is the electrolyte regulation. Now, acid-base balance is regulated by hydrogen ion. This controls, hydrogen ion controls the acid base. If in your body, just know, if in your body hydrogen ion concentration increases, your body will become acidic. So more hydrogen ion in the body will make the body what? Acidic. Make sense? So in this situation, what the kidneys will do? Excrete the hydrogen ion, right? To bring the body pH normal. Because acidic is very harmful, right? If your body becomes acidic, that is dangerous. Acidosis, probably you have heard that term, is dangerous. So your kidneys will quickly excrete the hydrogen ion to bring it back. So that's how the acid base is controlled. Okay, so those are the important functions of your urinary system. The last one is the reproductive system. this system is the only system which is completely different in male and female. All other systems are same, but the reproductive system is completely different in male and female body. And because of the reproductive system, you can see the difference between male and female. So this is a very interesting system in your body. Both externally and functionally, male and female are different because of this system. If you see from outside, you can tell the difference between male and female, right? Physical differences, external features, but also functionally they are different because of this system. Now, first we'll see the important organs of male reproductive system. Primary reproductive organs are testes. Testes are primary organs, primary male reproductive organs. External genitalia includes the penis and scrotum. So those belong to external genitalia. External genitals, you can also say external genital organs. Then you have glands. Prostate is the main gland in male reproductive system. You have ductus deferens, which is a tube that takes the sperm from the testis to the urethra. Ductus deferens is a tube or duct. Remember, duct means tube. You have ducts in your house, right? So those are the main organs of male reproductive system. Now, if you see the female reproductive system, the primary organs are ovaries. So primary female reproductive organs are ovaries. How many ovaries female body has? One or two? Two. And testes? How many? Two. Okay. In one exam, I asked, just fill in the blank. Male has these many testes, female has these many ovaries. Couple of students answer wrong. Okay. So that's why I need to mention that to you. Okay. So ovaries are the primary organs, and other structures are vagina, clitoris. Those are the external genitalia, labia majus, minus, and uterus is another important organ of female reproductive system that houses the embryo, right? That becomes fetus in the uterus. So embryo and fetus are housed in the uterus. And also you have the glands, mammary glands in female reproductive system. Okay, so those are the parts. Now the functions you all know. Number one is production of offspring, new life. New life. Number two, production of sex hormones. Sex hormones perform a number of functions. Sex hormones control the sex hormones control the sexual behavior. Okay. Secondary sex characteristics also maturation of sperm and ovum. Okay. So these are the important functions of sex hormone. Uh, Sexual behavior, desire of sex, and secondary sexual characteristics. Or secondary sex characteristics are the features that you can see from outside to distinguish a male and female, separate a male and female. Those are the secondary sex characteristics. Now, if I ask you, what are the male secondary sex characteristics? What are the male secondary sex characteristics? How will separate a male from a female?
Facial hair.
Anybody? Externally. Yeah, facial hair. Very good. Anything else? This is not a difficult question. You can think a male and a female, what are the differences? Facial hair is good, right? Anything else? No? You can't think anything else?
Breast, penis.
External, yeah. In female, I said male.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So
Well,
external genitalia definitely. How about the voice? Voice is different, right? Adam's apple, laryngeal prominence in male, right? Broader shoulder. Skeletal muscles are more prominent, usually, not always, right? Skeletal muscles are more well built or prominent. Baldness, right? Male characteristics. So those are the secondary male sex characteristics. How about female secondary sex characteristics? You said breast, right? Breast, that's good. Anything else? Voice. Female is high pitch, right? Male voice is what? Deeper, loud, right? Female is high pitch voice. You can hear from far, although it's not loud, but you can hear from far. Anything else? Yeah, very good. Broader, right? Broader hips, and also subcutaneous fat under the skin. Fat accumulates nicely in female. So those are the female secondary sex characteristics given by the sex hormone. Now you know how you know that if females start to get the testosterone from outside, then you can see the changes, right? So hormones give those characteristics. And sexual behavior like desire, drive, those are the behavior. Okay, so we are done with the 11 systems of the body. Now we'll talk about the necessary life functions. Important necessary life functions are, number one, maintaining boundaries. Just know that in our body, two types of boundaries are present. One is the skin that separates the whole body from outside. That is one boundary, skin. And another is microscopic, that is the cell membrane. You know that all cells, your body consists of cells, billions of cells, and all cells have membrane, cell membrane, right? So cell membrane separates inside the cell from outside, right? So this is another boundary. This is microscopic. Both are important. Movement. Movement is essential in the living body. For example, if you take food, when you take food in your mouth, then what happens? The food moves down, right? If food doesn't move, then you will not survive. So your gastrointestinal tract moves the food slowly. Heart, if heart doesn't pump, move, then you won't survive. If blood doesn't move, doesn't circulate, then you won't survive. So movement is very important. Responsiveness. What is responsiveness? The ability to respond. That is the responsiveness. The ability to respond. To what? A stimulus. If I give you a stimulus, you will respond to that. Example. If I touch suddenly with something hot in your hand, on your hand, then you will respond, right? By moving the hand away. That is the responsiveness. If I put flashlight on your eye, your pupil will constrict, right? That is the response. Stimulus is the light, stimulus is the touch, and response is the reaction, okay? Action. So, living organisms must respond to the stimulus, otherwise it will not survive. Digestion. I have already talked about that. Digestion is the breakdown of food. If after you take the food are not converted to molecules or nutrients, then absorption will not occur. Blood will not take it. Blood cannot take big pieces. Must be converted to fine molecules. I have mentioned that. Nutrients. So digestion is essential. After digestion, absorption occurs and then metabolism. Nutrients are converted to energy or ATP by metabolism. Metabolism gives energy or ATP. Just know that metabolism is essential for the living organism. Why? If no energy is produced, then your heart will not pump. To move anything, you need energy. Make sense? When you move the heart or muscles, you need the utilization of ATP or energy. So metabolism is essential. Metabolism refers to all chemical reactions in your body that I just mentioned when you asked me. All chemical reactions. And those chemical reactions are divided into two types, anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is the synthesis reactions and catabolism is the breakdown reactions. So two types of reactions belong to metabolism, synthesis and breakdown, just opposite. So some reactions will produce something new and some reactions will break the compounds. Yes.
But do they both produce ATP?
No, only catabolism produces ATP. Yeah. Only catabolism produces ATP. That means breakdown. When glucose breakdown occurs, ATP is produced. Fat breakdown occurs, ATP is produced. Okay. Excretion. Excretion is essential because I told you harmful toxic chemicals are being produced 24 hours because metabolism produces harmful toxics too. and those toxins must be excreted out from the body. So your urinary system is the main excretory system, you already know. Also digestive system excretes the uh, toxic stuffs of the food out from the body. Sweating also excrete. So those are the examples of excretion: urine, feces, sweating. Okay. Then reproduction is also essential. Now just know that in biology, when we say reproduction, we mean two things. One is, of course, reproduction. Everybody knows reproduction means production of new life, right? Offspring. That is one reproduction. But in biology, also more important is the cellular reproduction. Mitosis, meiosis, the multiplication of the cells, right? So cell division. That is also reproduction, and that is called cellular reproduction. You know that our life comes from one cell, right? That's the fertilized egg. Then fertilized egg, that single cell multiplies, right, to form billions of cells. So that is the cellular reproduction. Why you need cellular reproduction? Even after your body is completely formed, continuously cellular reproduction is needed. When you chew the food or drink something hot, a lot of cells are dying, although you don't see, but every time many cells inside the mouth are dying, are being destroyed. Quickly, regeneration, multiplication of the cells are uh, multiplication of the cells is replacing those dead cells, right? So you don't feel that. But if you drink something really hot, you feel that the tongue gets numb, right? Then gradually it comes back because new cells are being formed. Skin, you know that cells of the skin are dying all the time, right? And sometimes you'll see, you can feel the skin, dead cells. New cells are being formed. That reproduction is a continuous healing process. Growth. Sufficient or adequate growth is important for all organs, like your heart. If all organs of your body grow normally, but heart doesn't grow normally, then heart will have problem to perform the function, right? Even not the whole heart, if a small hole stays in the septum, like interventricular septum, if there is a hole remains, right, then it is a big problem, life-threatening. So the adequate growth of the organs is important for the life. What are the things you need to get from outside or maintain in your body? You need to get nutrients from outside. That means food for metabolism. You know that. You need the oxygen also for metabolism. These two things are used in metabolism, oxygen and nutrients. That's why we take oxygen and nutrients. We won't survive without the water. We also need to take water from outside. Why? Because our body is mainly formed by water. The most abundant chemical in our body is the water. Water performs a lot of functions, important functions in our body. Maintaining normal body temperature. This is very important. Why? If you have chemistry background, you know that for chemical reactions, temperature is a very important condition, right? If temperature goes down, chemical reaction will get slower or will get stopped. If it is higher than normal that you need, optimum temperature we say, chemical reaction will get slow or stop. Now you think that inside your body so many chemical reactions are being taken place, right? So if the body temperature is not maintained, then the chemical reactions will get slow or even may stop. And if that happens, then a lot of functions will not occur. So for chemical reactions, you need the maintenance of body temperature. Appropriate atmospheric pressure. This is simply understandable. Why we live at the sea level? Why don't we live on the top of high mountain? That's the main problem. Oxygen, right? The pressure of oxygen is low there. So maintaining the pressure of gases is important. The last thing is the homeostasis. Homeostasis is the process that maintains internal body environment unchanged. I'm repeating again. Homeostasis is the process that maintains internal body environment unchanged. So homeostasis will not let the body functions changed. Now just think simply. Your heart rate in 1 minute, your heart beats 70, for example, 70 to 80 times, right? That's the normal heart rate. Now, when you get scared, what happens? The heart rate goes up very fast, right? Your heart beats very fast. So now, what will happen? Your body will try to bring it back to normal. That means bring it back to 70 to 80. Your body does it, right? Otherwise, what will happen? It will stay very high, right? And that's not good. It must come back to normal. So your body is doing that all the time, keeping the functions within the normal range. Make sense? And that is the homeostasis. So, for example, this is the normal range of your heart rate. Lower is 70, just example, upper is 80. So your heart rate must remain within this range. Now, if for any reason the heart rate goes above the upper range or any function goes above the upper limit, then your body will try to bring it back to normal. Now, if the homeostasis, this is the homeostasis, bring it back. Or if it wants to go further down, it will bring it back. So this is homeostasis. Now, if homeostasis fails, your body cannot maintain homeostasis, then what will happen? It will go up or down. Make sense? And that is the clinical condition, disease. So when homeostasis fails, disease occurs. Like if your heart rate is not controlled, it goes up to 150, then that is a clinical condition or disease. Make sense? So homeostasis is very important, and that is occurring continuously in our body to maintain all the functions within normal range. Once if any homeostasis fails, that can cause the problem. Now, homeostasis is maintained by two mechanisms. So mechanisms of homeostasis. How many mechanisms? Two. One is called negative feedback and another is called positive feedback. Okay, so these are the two mechanisms. Just know that negative feedback mechanism is more used in our body. So negative feedback mechanism is more important and used more. Negative feedback, negative or reversing the function. So this means negative feedback means reverse the function back to normal. Back to normal. Okay, so that's the negative feedback that reverse the function back to normal. For example, if your body temperature increases, then your body will do what? Will release sweat. Sweating will occur, right? If body temperature increases, sweating will occur. So sweat takes the heat out. The water in the sweat takes the heat out to reduce the body temperature. Make sense? So this is an example of negative feedback, right? It is reversing the function back to normal. Trying to reverse the function back to normal. Now, if body temperature goes down, like in the winter night, if you go outside, right? What will happen? Shivering, muscle contraction. To do what? To bring the body temperature back to normal, right? So you see two conditions. If it goes up, trying to bring back. If it goes down, trying to bring back. Both are reversing, right? So both are negative feedback mechanisms. So make sure that you understand it clearly. Sometimes students don't understand, even some instructors. So reversing back to normal. It could be from higher or lower. Make sense? That's the negative feedback. Now, positive feedback. Positive feedback only occurs in few instances, and positive feedback does what? Increase. This one increases the intensity or size of anything. So increase the intensity, size or number. Can also add number. Only in few instances our body uses positive feedback. For example, when you get a cut, clot is formed, right? So how the clot is formed? If you see, if you get a cut, this is the blood vessel. Platelets, one type of blood cell, get attached to the edge here in this area, and then they will invite more platelets. So what will happen? Gradually, the size of this clot or platelet plug will get bigger and will seal the cut. So you see the size is being increased. So this is an example of positive feedback mechanism, increasing the size. Another example is uterine contraction during labor, childbirth. When the baby borns, uterus contracts. You know that, right? Uterus contracts. First, uterus contracts weakly, then the force of contraction increases, intensity increases, right? So that is the positive feedback. When uterus starts to contract, every time signal goes to the brain, brain sends the signal back to uterus to cause more forceful contraction. So it's a loop that is increasing, intensifying the action. So increasing the intensity. So those are the good examples of positive feedback mechanism. But positive feedback mechanism could be helpful or harmful. Negative is always helpful to bring or reverse the function back to normal. That is helpful, right? Negative is helpful because it is bringing the function normal back to normal. But positive, in these two cases, I gave you the example, helpful, right? Clot formation, childbirth, those are helpful. But now think that if any clot is formed inside the blood vessel, you did not get any cut or anything, you don't need to stop the bleeding. But if the clot is formed inside the artery, coronary artery, is that good? No. So positive feedback could be harmful too. If uterine contraction starts when the child, inside the uterus, only 2 months or 1 month old, if uterine contraction occurs, abortion will occur, right? Is that good? That's not good, right? So if positive feedback starts in wrong place, in wrong time, that could be dangerous. So positive could be helpful as well as also could be harmful. Negative is always helpful to bring the function back to normal rates. Okay. Now just the last thing, two mechanisms, negative and positive. And feedback mechanism work through three components. Three components of feedback mechanism. Number one, receptors. Number two, control center. And number three, effector. So these are three components of homeostasis. Three components are receptors, control center, and the effector. Now, just let me give you an example. If I put, okay, so if, another example, if the body temperature increases, then what will happen? Your skin has the temperature receptors, right? Cutaneous receptors. So skin will detect that and will send signal that the temperature has increased, send signal to the brain. Because someone has to decide if the temperature has changed or how much change has occurred. It could be 5 degree or 10 degree, right? So the receptors of your skin, temperature receptors, will send signal to the brain. Brain will then process that signal. Brain is the processor, integration center, and will, so this is the control center. Receptors will send signal to the control center, and then the control center will process that signal and decide how much temperature should be reduced. So we'll send signal to the sweat gland. So in this case, receptors are the temperature receptors. Control center is always the nervous system, and the effector is the sweat gland in this case. That will release the sweat to reduce the temperature. So three components, okay, of homeostasis. All homeostasis will go through this pathway. Okay. So now if you just go over this, you see receptor, control center, effector, you will understand. Just go over that. Body temperature, I have talked about this. Okay, so clot formation. Okay.